Hi there, it's Karen at Corrie Paper Crafts here. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in the UK. Thanks for dropping in today and welcome if this is your first visit here. Today is another video hop and this time it's the Stamp Around UK video hop. So once a month, posting on the first of the month, a group of us UK demonstrators get together and post our various projects based on a theme. So this month our theme is Sale-A-Bration and I've used a Sale-A-Bration designer series paper and a stamp set. Those I earned free during Sale-A-Bration. So for those who don't know, just a very brief explanation of Sale-A-Bration. It's currently running twice a year and it's an event where with qualifying orders you can choose between various free products. Nothing in this catalogue is for sale. You can only earn them free, and as you can see these are the papers that I've used to make this box here, which I'll show you in more detail just very shortly. You have level 1 products and level 2 products. So for qualifying orders you can choose one or the other. So for a £45 or €60 spend you can choose a level 1 free product, or for a £90 spend or €120 you can choose a level 2 product. So I've actually used a level 1 and part of a level 2 product here, and I'm saying part of it because this stamp actually comes from the Friendly Hello stamp set, but it's part of a duo, if you like. It's a combined freebie for a £90 spend, so you get the stamp set and a pack of 12 by 12 papers as well. So in fact I've used 2 stamps from this one. So that's a little bit about Sale-A-Bration, but I really want to get on excuse me, and show you the project that I've made. So this is a surprise explosion box. So when you open it, it actually opens up like this and reveals whatever goodies you've chosen to put inside, and either your stamped or handwritten message or sentiment in the bottom. So for this I've used the Sunshine and Rainbows designer series paper, which was free from Sale-A-Bration, and the Friendly Hello stamp set that I just showed you. So the cardstock that I'm using for the box is Mango Melody, and I've backed my DSP onto some Magenta Madness cardstock, and I've used Magenta Madness ink to stamp my sentiment. So without further ado, I'm actually going to get on and show you how I made it. And here are all the bits and pieces that you're going to need. Do not panic if you think it's going to be a bit daunting. It isn't really, although there are a lot of bits, a lot of them are actually the same measurements. And if you're like me thinking, oh gosh, grab yourself a cuppa. So to start off with, let's get all these little bits out of the way just now. For the box base, you will need a piece of cardstock which measures 7.5 inches by 7.5 inches, and I will, if I haven't already said, I'll include the metric measurements in the description bar below. So that's the cardstock for the base, and for the lid you'll need a piece that measures 5 1/8 by 5 1/8, and this is Mango Melody that I'm using, so that's one of the colours from the Brights. It is one of the colours in the designer series paper. So I decided just to go all out on my colour combinations. So since this is a Sale-A-Bration video hop, I should really show you the Sale-A-Bration papers that I'm using. So this is the Sunshine and Rainbows. It's 6 by 6 designer series paper, and as you can see I've used lots, not just for this project but certainly a lot for this project, but some other projects that I've made as well. So double-sided paper, as you can see. Let me just take this sheet here. I'm not sure if I've got any left in the main body of the packet. That's what's on the back of there, and these stripes as well, that is what's on the back of there. So really bright and fun on the front, a bit more muted on the back, and then if we just flick through, the rest of these: Granny Apple Green, Magenta Madness, Misty Moonlight, lots and lots of colours which I'll go through with you just shortly. Very bold stripes on that, just lovely, lovely papers. I really like them. So the colours in this pack are Bermuda Bay, Flirty Flamingo, Granny Apple Green, Magenta Madness, Mango Melody, Misty Moonlight, Petal Pink, Pool Party, Soft Sea Foam and So Saffron. So lots of choices there in terms of colour combinations. So for the base of the box, and I'll try and stop saying so, you will need 4 pieces of cardstock which measure 2 3/8 by 2 3/8, and you will need 4 pieces of designer series paper which measure 2 1/4 by 2 1/4, so just marginally smaller, 1/8 of an inch smaller, and we're going to layer them like that. For the inside of your box, you're going to need, these are all the same measurement, so there's only one measurement for the inside of your box. For the middle, on the bottom, you will need a piece of white, basic white cardstock which measures 2 3/8 by 2 3/8, and then 4 pieces for the side walls, if you like, and they're all 2 3/8 by 2 3/8 as well. So that's those pieces, and I'll leave those little triangular panels until the end. For the lid of your box, the top of your lid needs to be slightly bigger, so that's 2 1/2 by 2 1/2, and then another piece of DSP which measures 2 3/8 by 2 3/8, which is the same size as all of these pieces. And you're going to mount that onto there. And then for the sides of your lid, you will need 4 pieces of cardstock which measure 2 1/2 by 1 1/8, and then 4 pieces of designer series paper which measure 2 3/8 by 1 inch, and again that's just going to layer onto there like that. Coming on to the last little bits, which are the panels for the corners here. You'll need to cut 2 pieces, I've said 4 but it's actually 2 pieces of designer series paper which measure 2 1/4 by 2 1/4. You're going to cut those in half and then cut them in half again. So I'm actually going to show you what I mean, because 1 square of DSP will actually cover 2 of your corners. So I've just stuck them onto this piece of card with some washi tape because I knew I would lose them. So if I just show you very quickly, I'll grab my trimmer. Now this is probably the trickiest bit of the whole box. So what you need to do, if you're confident with your scissors or if you've got a craft knife, you're just going to cut from corner to corner. I'm going to put it into my trimmer, so I'm just making sure they're both centered. I'm going to hold it down really firmly, and I'm not going to start at the corner in case I move my paper and bash the corner. I'm just making sure that's centered still. I'm going to start part way through, push my blade in and go one way then the other, and that's my piece of paper cut in half, and I've still got my pointy corners. And then each piece again I'm going to cut in half. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to line it up along one of these lines on my trimmer. I think I've lined it up as best I can. I'm not going to let go of this on either side as I cut it. I'm going to push that down, holding on to each corner. I'm just going to gently push the cutting blade up over the triangle, and that's me got both pieces. So you're going to do that again on all your other pieces. So 2 squares, cut in half and cut in half again. So let's get on with making the box. For the base of the box, you want to score on all 4 sides at the same measurement. So we're going to score at 2.5 inches on all 4 sides. and I'm using the smaller end of my ball tool just because I want a sharper crease, but do be careful because you can sometimes jump the track. The lid is slightly different. You're going to score on all 4 sides at 1 1/4 inches. Again, just all the same because it's a square box, so it's easy in that respect. Oops, I nearly did 1 1/2. So we're just going to fold and burnish on all those sides on both pieces. As I say, there are lots of us taking part in this video hop, so you should find lots of inspiration. Click on the links below. So that's our 2 pieces all scored. The lid is quite straightforward in terms of cutting, so I'm going to do that just now. And as I always do, I'm going to pinwheel it so that I'm doing 1 corner on each side. So I'm cutting up to that first score line, making sure that I'm cutting away that score line there, and then I'm just going to, oh, if I could stop being all butterfingers, I'm just going to wedge out a little bit on each corner like so. So turn it before you do the next one. So I think now that I've done the cutting on my lid, I'm going to attach my panels. So by the magic of television or technology, I've already gone ahead and mounted all my pieces of DSP onto my cardstock, and I'm just going to pop this panel in the middle like so, and I'm liking this so much more already. I just want an even border round, and oops, pressing it down without moving it. There we are. You just need to then glue on the side panels, oops, on these smaller sections here. Again, just making sure that there's an even border round about. So I'm going to go ahead and just stick all the rest of those panels on, and I'll be back with you just in a second. And there we are, that's all the panels stuck down, and I really do like that pop of colour. So while I was away doing that, I decided I would just pop my tear and tape onto each corner as well to stick it together. Nobody wants to sit and watch me sticking lots of tear and tape down. Now this box, because of the style of the box, the lid is going to have to do quite a lot of work when it's going on and off the box, making sure that it doesn't catch, which is why I've popped 3 pieces of tape onto each corner. I just want to make sure that my lid survives being put on and off, and certainly the corners of the box. It's not really just for the sake of putting a lot of tape on. So for each corner, I want to take this cut edge here to this folded edge here, as you've seen probably many times before, and pop that lid together just like this. And there's already quite a lot of strength in this lid between the corners being staggered and the cardstock from the lid itself, the backing cardstock, and the designer series paper, and all the layers of glue that are in between as well. So it's already turning into really quite a sturdy box. So that's our lid put together. I'm liking that. So I'm going to put that to the side for now, and we're going to come on to the base. There's a bit more cutting and a bit more scoring that we need to do on the base, but please don't be alarmed because it's not that difficult. So as you can see from this one, we use that as a template. We want to cut off all these 4 corners, and we want to make a score line that way, but it's much easier to do the scoring before you cut this piece off, because we need to put a score line from this corner here to that corner there, and that's easier to do when you've still got that corner. So I'll do one and then I'll do the rest off camera, just to save you sitting watching me doing the same old thing on all four corners. We need to remember that we want to do our score line from the inner corner here to the outer corner here. So that's from this corner out, this corner out. Always work from that middle square. We're scoring from that corner out and from that corner out. So I'll do one and then I'll do the rest off camera. And the easiest way I found to mark where I was going to cut was to put a little mark right in the middle of that score line there, just so that it's a bit more precise for opening and closing the box when they fold together, and a mark in the middle of that score line there. I just want to make sure that I'm leaving enough room for my pencil lead at each side, and then just doing a very light line there, because I'm just using that as a guide for when I cut. But for scoring, I'm going to need my ball tool from my scoreboard, and again I'm going to use the smaller ball on that. So I want to do a score line from that corner there to that corner there, and I'm having to turn it round obviously so that I can do that. So I'm going to line that up against my ball tool, and then I'm going to line this up, if you can see, with that corner there, but I'm staying slightly to the left of it so that when I use my ball tool I can get right into that corner. So I'm just going to score a couple of times from that corner to the outer corner. There we are. And then all I'm going to do is use that line as a guide to cut from one corner to the other. Now remember, if you draw a pencil line, cut on the pencil line, don't cut on the line that you've just scored. There we are. Okay, so all four corners should look like that. Once you're done, that outside corner cut off, and then you've got half of your score line left. So I'll go and do the rest and I'll be back just in a minute. What we want to do first of all is glue down our panels. So we want this one on the inside of here, again just making sure it's centered with a little border round about, and these are going to glue into these panels here. Okay, little word of warning: if you're using a non-directional paper, it really doesn't matter. If you're using a directional paper, it depends what way you want your pattern to face. With a directional paper, I tend to work on each section and put it top to bottom, so that the bottom is always at the centre square. On the outside, you need to make sure that you do the same. This is the bottom of the box, so we're not going to adhere any panels onto there at all, because nobody's going to see it. And because when the box goes together, this, you know, this open edge here is the top, and the folded edge that meets that square is the bottom. So because this pattern is directional, I want to make sure that my rainbows, again like the inside, are all top to bottom, with the top at the outside edge and the bottom beside those beside that middle square. So just be careful. If it's a non-directional pattern, knock yourself out and just stick them on. It really doesn't matter. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'll be right back yet again. And that's all my panels stuck on. So a word of advice, or a little tip: try and cut and stick these panels on the outside as straight as possible, so that you've got an even border round about, but don't get too worried about it. On the inside, there's less to worry about. The most important gap is here at the top, along that straight edge, because that's probably what you're going to notice most. Other people probably won't, but sometimes we can be a bit critical of the things that we've made. So if your paper's cut just a little bit off, don't worry too much about the bottom edge here, because the colour on that border continues on to the next part of the box beyond that fold, if that makes sense. But this is a straight edge against a straight edge, so if it worries you at all, make sure that that's the edge that you line up the straightest. What we need to do next is we need to make a fold on these corners here. We want these folds to fold in the way. Once the box is folded up, those fold in the way. So with the inside of your box facing up the way, fold each side in from whichever direction you're going to do it. I'm right-handed, so I find it easier to do it this way. So fold it in, pop your paper folder or your bone folder in that corner, and what we're doing is bringing this folded edge here over to meet this folded edge here. I did it recently on a bag that I made, so it's the same principle, and we just want to make sure that those edges do line up kind of straight. Your fold helps you, your crease that you made helped, or your score line, and then just fold that with your bone folder. Okay, so I'm just going to work round each corner doing one at a time. So my folder, paper folder, is going into that corner. I'm going to pull from the inside to get this to come over and line up like that, and then I'm just going to reinforce that score line to make sure that fold stays in place. Fold over, bring those edges over together to match up as straight as possible. There we go. Last one, fold over and burnish that score line. Okay, so now we've got our box, which is going to fold up like that. So I'm going to do the moment of truth now. Before I stick my my triangles on, I'm going to get my lid, and I am going to put it on over the top of the box, and there we are. Okay, so I know my box fits before I go through the process of sticking on all my triangles. Turning your box so that one of your corners is facing you flat, those pieces are going to go on like that. So that's your whole triangle that you cut in half again, and we're going to glue that in place, keeping that stripe true. So this is where it gets a little bit footery, because you might get covered in glue like I do. So I'm just using a finer tip to put that on. The trick is not to put a lot of glue right up into the corners, but you do need some into those corners to hold them down. So again, so that you make sure you've got the right triangle in the right place, don't move that one while you glue this one down, so that you put it in the right place, because it's easy to turn it round and then stick it down in the wrong place. So that's one there, and again I'm just looking to have my corners into the corners and an even border round about, but the edge that I'm going to concentrate on most in terms of getting it the straightest is that one there. And then I'm just going to do the same with this one. And pop that down on the other side like that. And again, I just want to make sure that I've got a corner pointing into each corner, but that I've got this straight, and it makes my triangle look straight all along the edge there. So that's all you need to do for the corners. Because it's a little bit time consuming, again I'm going to do that off camera, and I'll be back with you once I've done the rest of those. All that's left to do really is either stamp a sentiment of your choice in the bottom of there, or write your greeting, and you can either do that before you put it in, or make sure you're happy with it if you do stick the card in first. So all that's left for us to do is decorate the top. So I need a piece of basic white cardstock, and I'm going to, as I say, stamp it in gosh, Magenta Madness, if I can get it to open. And I'm hoping that the padding from my grid paper is enough to let me stamp a nice crisp image here. Oops, yep, don't chuck it onto your ink pad though. I'm not going to close that because I'm going to need it again in a minute. So hope you have the best birthday. And one of the punches in the new catalogue is this lovely cloud punch, and I'm just going to stamp that out. I'm just lining it up. I want a little bit more of a gap at the top, but I'm lining it up so that between the H and that point of the cloud and between the E and that point of the cloud, I've kind of got an even border, but it's a cloud and clouds aren't even or symmetrical. So bringing back my stamp set and my ink pad, I'm just going to put some splatters around that as well. So here, and I'm just going to stamp off and then pop some splatters around here, not being too fussy about it. It's just to add a little something. Let me see, that's probably a little bit better there, and maybe one more just there. There we are. I'm not going to worry too much about it and get too precious about it. I'm quite happy with that. And then all I did was I used a little piece of one of our sponges, dipped it in the ink and just sponged round the edge again, just to get a bit of definition, that didn't come out right, round the edges of that cloud, because, well, who says I can't have a Magenta Madness cloud? That's the beauty of crafting. You can have whatever you want, really. So that's that. Let's close this up before we end up putting ourselves in it. And I'm just going to grab some dimensionals which I have misplaced, so I will be right back once I find them. Here we are. I couldn't find them. I don't know what I've done with them. I did have them all ready, but they have disappeared, so I've probably lifted them with something. And I'm just going to put plenty on here because I don't want to make that lovely box and then spoil it by something getting squashed on the top. That's probably way too many, but as I've said in many videos before, I'm not precious about how many dimensionals I do or do not use. If I need to use a lot to fix my project, then that is what I will do. So I'm going to pop, I don't want to cover up all that nice sun, so I'm thinking I might just pop that on there at an angle, because again, clouds aren't straight, are they? And that lets me have a bit of my sun and some of my rainbows as well. And then last but not least, I'm going to add some of these gorgeous iridescent rhinestone basic jewels. Another gorgeous new product in the new catalogue. And I'm going to pop a medium-sized one, because they do come in 3 sizes, just there, because I do have a little bit of white space, and then a little one over there in that white space, and another little one just down there, and that's our triangle of embellishments. And they really do sparkle and shine and pick up all the colours around, so I think they just help that colour to pop as well. And that is my project, so I might as well bring in all the other ones that I've made as well and let you see how I got from that to that to that, and I'm definitely happy with that. So thanks for watching. Let me know if you've enjoyed this project. Pop me a comment and let me know any questions you have about it. I'm more than happy to answer them. And all that's left to say is happy hopping, and I hope to see you again soon. So until then, stay safe and take care. Bye bye now.